everybody, this is Zach with the Better Than I Deserve channel. Today we are going to be talking about an infamous word in my field, and that word is resentment. Ooh, that word, you know, in my field that I work, which is primarily SUD, substance use disorder. I work with all mental health, but SUD is the primary clientele that I see currently. And I'm telling you, this word is a very powerful word in that community, right? And I'm a person of long-term recovery myself, so I understand the implication of the word. The point of this video is going to be a little education and awareness to the word resentment. I think that there's a large portion of people in those communities that are using the word incorrectly, or more like in context. Men really hate to say, hey, what does that word actually mean, right? So today we're going to talk about what that word means. I cannot tell you how many times I've been in a group, right? As a group therapist, which is primarily what I do. And there's 12 to 16 people in this group, and I would say probably 80% of them have been to treatment before. They're, more of the frequent flyers, which is what we see. And when I ask, hey guys, what does the word resentment mean? I get a whole slew of different describing factors of resentment. The main one that I hear a lot is a grudge. Resentment means grudge. Although, not really, okay? And so this video is also for people that are maybe in relationships or have family members that are in recovery or in the community of treatment that are using this word and you really don't know what the hell they're talking about, right? Another word we use a lot is selfish. Selfish. I'm so selfish, which is, it's neither here nor there. Don't let me get up on my soapbox this early in the day. So let's talk about resentment. Number one, resentment means to relive or refeel. That's what the word means. Doesn't mean grudge, right? It could be a grudge, but it doesn't mean grudge, right? It means to relive or refeel. For all my trauma people out there, sounds a little interesting, right? So resentment is to relive or refeel a prior experience in current present time. Okay, so the way that I try to help people grab on, create a vision, around the meaning of this word is I usually ask a group of people, hey, raise your hand if you've ever been cheated on. Right? And usually I'll get about 80% of the people that raise their hand. And you can and then my next question is, okay, well, think about when you got cheated on. And almost immediately you can see the entire room shift, right? Everybody's moving in their seats, they're holding their stomach, they're just like little worms trying to crawl out, right? And you can witness the power of resentment just in asking someone to think about a moment like being cheated on, right? Which is, in our culture of monogamy, is a terrible feeling. The feeling of being cheated on, right? So I've experienced it firsthand. I understand the gravity of that feeling multiple times, right? So when you think about something in the past happening, and it immediately creates a physiological reaction, an increase in the blood pressure, your armpit sweating, your stomach hurting, your legs cramping up, right? These are the physiological symptoms, right, of the resentment, right? That it is unsettled, that there's maybe not pure closure around that incident that happened in the past. So when we're talking about resentment, right, like you can see the power that it has. So I would say something to the effect of, I'm resentful at Strawberry Herbal Essence, which is the first girlfriend that ever cheated on me. That's what I call her. And you can immediately see the power that this past feeling is having on me in the current pretext if I don't have closure around it. And that's what we're talking about in resentment. We're talking about things that don't have closure in the past and still have power to change our physiological mood in the moment, right? That's what we're talking about. So if for whatever reason you're perfect and you've never been cheated on, you've had perfect relationships your entire life, and you need another example, here's the one that the other 20% can grab onto. And it would be, have you ever left an argument with a friend? You're driving down the road, or you've made it back home, and maybe it's a business partner, an employer, or something like that, and you continue the argument in your head, right? You're like, hey, next time I see him, this is what I'm gonna say. And I mean, you're in it. Like, I don't know about y'all, I'll be in the argument, right? Like, I'm like, yo, I'm gonna tell him this, and I'm gonna come around like this, and I'm gonna show him, right? Like, that's resentment, right? Like, in the current moment, I am still resentful. I'm reliving and re-feeling this argument from an hour ago, a week ago, a month ago in my head in real time, and I'm having a reaction to it, right? This is resentment. So you might say, okay, Zach, well, what does that mean, right? Like, we understand the word resentment, but how does this help me? Okay, so I will give you what I tell people of how to prevent further resentments, right? And I'm gonna shout out to my homie Adele out there. Love her stuff, absolutely love you, right? She has in one of her songs, it says, expectations are just resentments that haven't happened yet. Whew, that is powerful, okay? So let's think about that for a second. Expectations are resentments that haven't happened yet. So when I set an unrealistic and an unvocalized expectation on someone, right? So I'm not telling them that I have the expectation, and then on top of that, I'm not describing to them what the actual expectation is. I'm holding them to it, right? And then when they don't do it, I get resentful at them. Almost all resentments are created out of some level of expectations, whether they're realistic or unrealistic, vocalized or non-vocalized, right? So what I would say to help yourself is, if you have expectations on the people around you in your life, vocalize them. Tell someone in a relationship with you what you expect out of them as a partner in that relationship, right? You see this a lot in like marriage counseling before marriage, right? That pre-marriage counseling, that's what that whole philosophy is about. Is let's talk about what the expectations of marriage are. And when I look back at my own marriage, right, that didn't work out, I feel like a lot of problems would have been fixed early on had we sat down and both discussed what our expectations of the relationship were, right? And you can't only do this in marriage. You can do this in friendships. You can do this in employee relationships, right? It's like a job description, right? So here's a good way to think about it. Imagine that you go to a job, right? This is the power of expectations and how they turn into resentment. Say you show up to a job and your boss says, okay, I want you to go over there and work. That's all they say. Just go over there and work, right? You go over to the desk and there's some files on it, and there's a computer, and there's a little password sticky note on the top that logs you in, and that's it. You just gotta work, right? You're probably gonna be feeling some type of way, right? A little lost, not know what's going on. And then at lunchtime, the boss comes over and starts bitching at you because you haven't worked at maximum capacity, right? You really haven't killed the game that day because it took you 2 hours to figure out how to log into the system, right? This happens all the time, right? This is the power of job descriptions and setting the expectations and orientation to a new job, of setting the standard of what an employee in this role looks like, what's expected, and how to meet the bare minimum, right? We don't a lot of times do that in our personal relationships, and there would be a whole lot less resentment if we did. Something to think about. If you like this, hit a like, hit a subscribe, hit the comments if you disagree with me. I love to debate. So we can kind of talk about it. If you have something you want me to talk about, throw it down in the comments. Let's get it going. I'm all about bringing as much education and experience and insight. And there again, I don't know it all. Anything that I'm talking about on here is from my personal experience. I'm not saying it's like the facts and absolutes, and if you don't live this way, you're wrong. I ain't that type of dude. I'm just trying to help you live and be a better you. That's it. Gotta love it. I am better than I deserve, and I'm gonna go enjoy the rest of my day. I love it. Y'all have a wonderful day.